Hello and welcome to The Lucky Roll, an eclectic channel for eclectic games. And today we're looking at the classic game that is known as Heroquest. Initially released in 1989 by Milton Bradley Games, Heroquest was an MB Games collaboration with Games Workshop, in which 4 classic fantasy archetypes competed against a dungeon master in an adventure-style board game. Heroquest is to dungeon crawler adventure games as to what Doom is to first-person shooters. And while it's not necessarily the granddaddy of them all, that title belongs to Wolfenstein, its influence upon the genre is unmistakable. Nearly every modern dungeon crawler game you play today will have some essences of Heroquest in its DNA, and it was Heroquest that introduced many a young player to the worlds of fantasy and adventure for the very first time. There wasn't a kid in the 80s or 90s that wasn't blown away by the Saturday morning TV ad campaign that showed the Heroquest board game bursting through the ground, a big Conan the Barbarian ripoff swinging his sword, and a goblin hanging from the wall threatening you with his scimitar. The game was tactile and impressive looking, with its array of furniture, superb models, impressive game board, and DM cover with the foreboding and impressive looking Morcar glaring at you while the DM unveils bit by bit your traverses through the dungeon. The beauty of this game is its simplicity. You have 4 adventurers, a dwarf, a barbarian, an elf, and a wizard, who embark on a series of quests in a simple campaign book upon a single playing board, whose various dungeons change drastically according to the obstacles and furnitures placed by the DM during the course of the game. The game operates on a simple line-of-sight mechanic, where players unfold the layout of the dungeon by simply traversing it. The beauty of this is that the game as a result is an absolute dream to set up, because the very first room always simply consists of just a staircase and a closed door. The further beyond that point the adventurers explore, the more the board takes shape, with closed walls, secret entrances, pitfalls, bookcases, weapons racks, monsters, and hidden treasures. The game can literally be set up within 5 minutes, whereas by comparison, modern dungeon crawler games such as, say, Descent, or Star Wars Imperial Assault, or Warhammer Quest, or dare I say it, the monster that is Gloomhaven, can take anything from 15 to 30 minutes to set up before you're ready to play. With Heroquest, you simply open the box, unfold the board, place the DM cover, assign the players their markers and cards, place the staircase, the first door, and Morcar is literally your uncle. Heroquest is a game that I have brought to many a game night, and its very fast setup and turnaround has made it a joy to play. It is also incredibly accessible, as its base mechanics are as straightforward as the actual setup itself. When you open this box, you will literally be playing the game with brand new players within 10 minutes, which in this age of modern, complex, and admittedly impressive dungeon crawlers is a blessed relief at times. Players move by rolling 2 standard red d6, and engage in combat by rolling up to 4 white d6 adorned with a skull, hero shield, and monster shield symbols. Combat is simplicity itself. Every skull a player rolls counts as a hit, and every shield, depending whether it's the DM or the player defending, counts as a block. Each white dice has 3 skulls, 2 hero shields, and 1 monster shield. Heroes can only block with the hero shields, and monsters can only block with the monster shields, so players are guaranteed an edge when it comes to combat against the denizens of Morcar's various dungeons. Rounds are done in a clockwise fashion, where each player controls their own character, and the DM controls all monsters in the dungeon. On a player's turn, they can move and attack, or move and search, if there are no monsters, of course. And on a search, a player may discover a hidden trap, a secret door, a hidden treasure, or even run afoul of a wandering monster, which gives the DM an extra avatar with which to strike the players with. Unlike games such as Star Wars Imperial Assault, where the DM is an actively competitive player, the DM in Heroquest is there to have fun. The odds are stacked against the DM in the base combat mechanics, so the role of the DM to me is mainly to facilitate the players in their game. To me, this makes the role akin to that of a storyteller, one mainly unveiling the dungeon for the other players and helping them to enjoy the game. It's a game that, when it was released, was for ages 10 and up, and it shows. The game is very accessible and simplistic as a result, and to the board game snobs out there, probably archaic. But to me, that is also its strength, its simplicity and its accessibility. A dungeon will be completed in 30 minutes at the most, and the single straightforward combat combined with the line of sight mechanic ensures that a considerable pace is kept throughout the game, as players either cooperate to tackle monsters or split up to traverse more aspects of the dungeon more efficiently. It's rare for a player to be killed in this game, and it's rarer still for all players to lose, so there's a nice relaxed pace to the game and a keener sense of fun in its play. One game I particularly remember was when one of the players simply ran amok, opening every door he came across, triggering all the monsters, and then ran back towards the main group for no other reason than good-natured trolling. Now, in other games, the party would have been swamped and wiped out and game over, but the simplistic mechanics meant that the players were able to handle the massive surge of monsters unleashed upon us, while the rogue player ran off in search of more doors to open to annoy us with. It was an absurd game, but one I always remember fondly because it was such a fun one, as the DM literally ran out of monsters to attack us with, and we spent the latter part of the game traversing an empty dungeon, trying to find our fellow player and kill him for his devilment. My impression of Heroquest is no doubt impacted by my nostalgia for the game, but it is something I would urge all gamers out there to try at least once. You are guaranteed to hit the nostalgia factor with at least one player in the group with this game, and I'm sure to offend the snobbery of another at some point. It's also a game that you will exhaust quite quickly, as the campaign book only contains 14 quests, none of which vary much in a second playthrough, which is why no doubt this game spawned 7 expansions, including a design your own adventure kit, and a reimagined sequel called Advanced Heroquest, which in turn had its own expansion called Terror in the Dark. It's not a game that I would spend an exorbitant amount of money on, but if you do spot it at a reasonable price, you could do a lot worse than adding this game to your collection. A sealed copy can cost up to several €100, but there are multitudes of second, third, fourth and even fifth-hand copies to be had, and they can do the job just as well. It's a game that I have never regretted buying, and it's a game that I dust off and play with the newbies in my local group more often than I would have actually thought. It's just a joy to play, especially with new people. The modern legacy of this game, of course, is the Warhammer quest games, such as Silver Tower, Shadows of Hammerhal, and the brilliant Blackstone Fortress. And if, like me, you love having those games in your collection, then Heroquest is an absolute must-buy, as is both a streamlined version of these games, but also a lovely light alternative to them, where you could introduce both young and new players to the genre very easily. You owe it to yourself to try this game at least once. This is Sean from The Lucky Roll. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff, and until next time, good luck and God bless.